Some crustaceans do not just pinch, because one can crack coconuts, one can fire a shockwave louder than 200 decibels underwater, and one can stay deadly even after cooking. This list ranks 10 dangerous crustaceans from number 10 to number 1 using size, claw force, strange weapons, and the one shocking fact that makes each animal unforgettable. Some entries are dangerous because they are huge, some because they crush shell, some because they weaponize water, and the final entry wins because its danger stays in the body itself. The countdown starts with an animal that looks like a monster from deep water, mostly because of one absurd measurement that changes how the whole creature feels. Number 10 is the Japanese spider crab, and its danger starts with scale rather than with a reputation for attacking people. This species holds the record for the widest leg span of any living arthropod, reaching about 3.7 meters, or almost 12 feet, from claw to claw. That reach matters because a diver is not facing a tiny crab at the edge of vision, but a long-limbed animal that can fill the water in front of the mask. Poor visibility makes the encounter feel even worse, because a creature with that much reach can appear to surround space before the diver fully understands the size. It is not ranked higher because aggression is not the main story here, but a big animal with claws becomes dangerous when cornered, mishandled, or startled. The shocking fact is simple. Very few crustaceans can cover that much of a human field of view with living legs and claws. Number 9 moves from long reach to heavy armor, because the next crab is famous on dinner menus but built like a cold water weapon. Number 9 is the red king crab, a massive animal with thick armor, sharp points, and claws designed for real damage. A large adult can weigh about 24 pounds and stretch roughly 5 feet across the legs, which is why workers on fishing decks treat it with care. One claw is usually larger and better for crushing, while the other is better for tearing, so the animal carries 2 different tools on the front of its body. Human danger here comes from mass, leverage, and twisting power because a big king crab inside a trap can grip, slash, and wrench hard enough to injure hands badly. The shell and spines add another layer of risk on a busy boat where people are already working fast, wet, and close to sharp-moving gear. The shocking fact is that the seafood many people picture on a plate can spread out to the size of a small child. Number 8 keeps the cold water setting but brings a more studied kind of damage, because this animal has 2 claws built for different jobs. Number 8 is the American lobster, and its danger comes from specialization rather than from one generic cartoon pinch. One claw is a crusher made for force, and the other is a cutter made for slicing softer prey, so the lobster carries a shell breaker and a tissue slicer together. Studies on large individuals have recorded maximum claw force around 256 newtons, and that force lands through a narrow gripping edge that makes the grip feel worse. Fishers handle lobsters every day, yet they still respect those claws because the crusher evolved to break shell and the cutter evolved to shear flesh. The 2-claw design makes the risk easy to underestimate, because the animal is carrying 2 separate weapon systems instead of one simple grab. The shocking fact is that one lobster can hold both a crushing tool and a slicing tool at the front of the same body. Number 7 moves into warm, muddy places where people often cannot even see what their hands are reaching toward. Number 7 is the mud crab, a thick-shelled shoreline fighter that lives where people wade, trap, fish, and reach into murky habitat. Large mud crabs are territorial, heavy, and built around oversized claws that do not need exaggeration to be frightening at close range. Tests on big mud crab claws have reported pinching force around 580 newtons, a number that jumps far above what many people expect from a creek crab. That number becomes more serious in muddy water because the person is blind to the claw at the exact moment the claw is ready. A muddy bank, a trap line, and low visibility make the habitat part of the danger rather than just the crab's strength alone. The shocking fact is that a mud crab can hit several times the force measured in many large lobsters while hiding in water where people cannot see the strike. Number 6 proves that danger is not only about total force, because pressure at a tiny contact point can be even more frightening. Number 6 is the stone crab, famous for one compact crusher claw that turns concentrated pressure into the main story. In lab and engineering discussions, pressure at the tooth contact surface has been reported above 40,000 pounds per square inch, which is a brutal number for a small contact point. That does not mean the whole claw acts like a giant machine press, but it does mean the force lands through a tiny area with nasty efficiency. For shellfish prey, that focused pressure is catastrophic, and for human hands it explains why experienced handlers never experiment with an active claw. This is why size can fool people here, because the danger comes from how efficiently the pressure is delivered rather than from a huge body. The shocking fact is that a famous commercial crab can create localized crushing pressure strong enough to be compared with industrial tools. Number 5 brings back raw size, and this time, the body mass is almost as shocking as the weapon on the front. Number 5 is the Tasmanian giant crab, a huge shell crusher that looks less like a beach animal and more like a machine made of armor. Large males can weigh more than 17 kilograms, or around 39 pounds, which means one crab can match the weight of a large domestic dog. A predator that crushes thick-shelled mollusks does not evolve a gentle grip, and the claws reflect that hard, blunt, reliable force. Its asymmetrical claws matter too because shell-crushing predators often place the most destructive tool on one side and use the other side differently. The danger is a mix of bulk, momentum, and claw geometry, because once an animal that heavy clamps down the human hand is not the powerful part of the scene. The shocking fact is that a single male can weigh as much as a big dog while carrying a claw that dominates the whole front half of the body. Number 4 changes the list completely because the next crustacean attacks with physics instead of brute grip, using water pressure and sound as part of the blow. Number 4 is the pistol shrimp, a small animal with a specialized claw that snaps so fast it turns the water itself into a weapon. That snap creates a cavitation bubble, and when the bubble collapses, it sends out a shock wave and a sound that can top 200 decibels underwater in some measurements. The collapse can even make a tiny flash of light, a strange effect called sonoluminescence, which makes the attack sound like science fiction even though it is real biology. For small prey, the bubble strike can stun or kill, and even though it is not usually fatal to humans, the method is one of the wildest in the crustacean world. The animal is small enough to fool people, and that makes the weapon feel even stranger because the body does not look built for such violence. The shocking fact is that this tiny shrimp does not simply pinch, and instead fires a collapsing bubble that makes the surrounding water do the damage. Number 3 takes that strange violence and adds speed so extreme that even aquarium glass can end up in danger. Number 3 is the peacock mantis shrimp, a crustacean that strikes like living ballistics rather than like a slow-shelled animal. Smashing mantis shrimps can drive their club-like appendages at around 12 to 23 meters per second, fast enough to create cavitation bubbles after the first hit. That means the target can be hit twice, once by the club itself and again by the collapsing bubble in the water around it. Their strikes have been compared with the acceleration of a bullet, and the blows can shatter snail shells, crack crab armor, and even break aquarium glass in some cases. It is not built to hunt people, but a human finger does not enjoy being mistaken for prey or for a rival. The shocking fact is that this animal hits so fast the water around the strike becomes part of the weapon instead of just the arm. Number 2 leaves the water and steps onto land, where the danger becomes brutally easy to picture because the biggest land arthropod can pinch like a living vice. Number 2 is the coconut crab, the largest land-living arthropod on Earth, and its claws are strong enough to turn hard plant armor into food. Measured claw force in real animals has reached more than 700 newtons, and projections for the largest individuals rise to about 300 newtons. Researchers found that a big coconut crab can pinch harder than the bite force of many land animals, which is not what most people expect from a crab on an island. These crabs climb, pry, tear, and hold, and the name comes from real behavior because the claws are strong enough to crack coconuts. A claw built to pry and hold makes escape harder, because the risk is not only the first pinch but the grip that follows after it closes. The shocking fact is that the biggest coconut crabs may deliver a projected pinch force close to 740 pounds of force. Number 1 wins for a darker reason, because the final danger does not depend on size or on a claw closing at all. Number 1 is the toxic reef crab, sometimes called the devil crab, and it reaches the top because people can die after eating it even when it is cooked. Certain reef crabs in this group carry powerful neurotoxins in their tissues, including tetrodotoxin and saxitoxin, 2 names tied to severe poisoning. Ordinary cooking does not neutralize those toxins, which changes the entire danger story because the usual safety rule of heat does not solve this problem. Human poisonings and deaths from eating toxic xanthid reef crabs have been documented in the Indo-Pacific region, so this danger is historical and real. A huge claw can be avoided by distance, and an aggressive crab can be escaped, but a lethal toxin inside a meal gives far less room for reaction. That is why documentary rankings often place this crab above larger species, because poison ignores the usual rule that only the biggest body wins. The shocking fact is that the most dangerous crustacean on this list can still kill after the fire, the pan, and the plate. This countdown shows how many forms danger can take in the crustacean world, because danger can be size, grip, pressure, speed, sound, or poison hidden inside flesh. The lower ranks warn with claws and mass, but the top ranks grow stranger, because water turns into a weapon, a strike outruns the eye, and a cooked crab stays deadly. A list like this shows why crustacean danger is easy to underestimate, because many people picture seafood first and only later learn about force, pressure, shock waves, or poison. The Japanese spider crab warned with scale, the red king crab with armored leverage, and the American lobster with 2 claws built for 2 different jobs. The mud crab and the stone crab showed how close-range danger rises fast when low visibility or tiny contact points turn one pinch into serious damage. The Tasmanian giant crab proved body mass matters, because a heavy shell crusher does not need speed when blunt force and momentum already do the work. The pistol shrimp proved that small size can hide strange violence, because a cavitation bubble and a shock wave do not look possible in such a tiny body. The peacock mantis shrimp added raw strike speed, because the blow and the bubble combine into a double hit that can crack shell and even damage glass. The coconut crab changed the picture again by leaving the sea and bringing projected claw force close to 740 pounds of force onto land. The toxic reef crab ended the ranking by breaking the normal rule completely, because its greatest weapon can stay inside the meat after cooking. That is what makes this top 10 so unsettling, because the crustacean world does not rely on one kind of danger and instead spreads danger across very different designs. Some species frighten because they are massive, some because they focus pressure, some because they weaponize sound and water, and some because they carry neurotoxin. Ranking them together makes the final lesson clear. Claws are only one part of the story, and crustacean biology can become dangerous in many unexpected ways. The ranking also shows why crustaceans stay scary to divers and scientists alike, because no single safety rule covers a group that can crush, shock, smash, or poison. If you want the next ranking, watch the video on the ocean's most dangerous shell animals, because this countdown covered only one branch of the underwater nightmare.